Okay. So welcome. This is a discovery call about Elemental Eros, and I'm here to just answer any questions that you have, give you some information about the journey. We've just finished the first version of Elemental Eros. I'm just going to mute you all there. And the second one is about to begin in October. And the early bird registration for that is the 13th of August. So we're here to just explore a little bit about the journey. And so for you to just think about any questions that you might have, and you can pop them in the chat, or I'll give you in a minute just an opportunity to ask your questions. The way I normally start any kind of conversation is just by grounding in and landing down. So maybe we could just do that together just for a minute. So if you just want to close your eyes and just take a deep breath in and just allow the out breath to just pull you down to the ground. And just feel your whole face softening with your breath. Feeling any tension softening. As you come into yourself, as you come into your inner world. And as you pull your focus in and your breath, you become aware of your breath, just letting go of the day, just letting go of what's to come, and just arriving fully here, present in this moment. Just feeling your breath. And feeling the grounds beneath you, feeling this earth that's holding you, sustaining you, loving you. And this is just a very brief drop in. So just allowing yourself to just feel like you've arrived. When you feel arrived, just opening your eyes. So beautiful to see all of your faces. Welcome, all of you. And yes, so I'm going to speak a little bit about Elemental Eros, and then I'll open the floor for your discussions, for your questions. So Elemental Eros is an online journey that will take place over 5 months. It will happen every other week. We'll be meeting online, and then there'll be tasks for you to enact in between, or invitations for you to enact in between the sessions that will allow you to deepen in the work that we touch in online. So basically what we'll be doing is, I call Elemental Eros the snake skin shedding year, or 5 months pot container. Because what it does is essentially it allows you to just kind of shed skins of your way of being, way of moving in the world that might not be serving you, in order to enter into the fullness of your feminine eros. So when I speak about feminine eros, I speak about our creative and our sexual life force energy that come together. The sexual and the creative are very much of the same pot, of the same energy. And quite often, we've come from a culture that has made that essence that we carry on the inside quite something to fear, or something to be ashamed of, or something that we need to hide, or something that we keep to ourselves, or something that it's like it stays hidden within us. And really, this is our elemental essence as woman. And so Elemental Eros is kind of like the foundational 5 months of creating the intrapsychic resources that we need in order to fully come into full relationship with our feminine Eros, which is no small thing. It's a bold and courageous journey to reclaim our feminine Eros. And I feel it's evolutionary and revolutionary on the earth right now. There's kind of like this impulse for us to, and this real longing within us to know and to come into full relationship with our feminine power, our feminine beauty, our feminine magic. And so Elemental Eros gives you the foundation for you to kind of peel some of the skins, peel some of the stories, peel back some of the layers that are kind of keeping you from fully entering into full relationship with your feminine, wild sensuality, eros, erotic nature, vibration, essence. So that's a little bit of a summary. Wondering if anyone has any questions from what I've just said so far. Happy to expand or elaborate on that. Yeah, please do.
Just a little bit about the, it's really odd because I didn't know why I was coming onto this call, but now I realise why.
Great.
We met at a Soulcraft thing with Bill Plotkin years ago. Yeah, something in this has resonated. But with regard to the online 5 months thing, how long are the sessions? What are the sort of hours? Not that I particularly need to know it, but it's just a question.
Sure. You mean the hours of the calls, or the hours that you'll need in between the calls? Okay. So we'll meet for 2 hours online every Thursday. I think it's 4 till 6 UK. And that will be every other Thursday for 5 months. I think there's December, we have a larger gap because of the Christmas break. And then, the time that you want to put in between the calls is really up to you. Like, I'll be inviting you to do outer nature connection, immersion conversation, which you can go for a half an hour walk, or you could go for, you could spend a day. Really up to you. And then I'll also be inviting you to do some kind of inner temple tending practices. And again, that can be anything between half an hour or an hour. I would say maximum an hour for those. And then you'll be invited to kind of like share and reflect and kind of feed your experiences into the group, so that I can support you to deepen in and witness your journey. And you're also kind of feeding into the group, getting feedback and feeding from the other women that are in the group. So I reckon, because we're also doing it every other week, the week that we're not doing it, that could be the week that you engage in the nature practice. So it could be like, you have an hour or 2 hours that you're wandering out on the land. So it's very doable. It's not, yeah.
And it can be done in London, in Richmond Park or something. Sorry, I'm on my daughter's computer and I don't know how to stop the pinging.
Fine, no worries. Yeah, I don't know Richmond Park, but as long as you have access to nature. Ruth, you've been in Dublin, right? So you've been out, you've found spaces in the city for you to do this work.
Yeah, no, it's easy for me. I've got like a big park that's like within 2 kilometers, and then close to that there's a beach, sand dunes, nature reserve. But yeah, I'm in the city, but even the others who were in Barcelona were saying that they were able to find spaces to do the work as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a beach or a park.
Yeah. And what I've also appreciated, because Rachel may have experienced the Animus programs is we travel and we go to places, but the beauty of the online format is it really allows us to connect. This is what I've witnessed through the group. It's allowing us to connect with the wildness of our actual place and build a relationship with it. So rather than going off somewhere to have these experiences, it's like, oh no, I'm really starting to connect with the nature and the wildness and the conversation that's here, right on my front doorstep. So that's been a very beautiful kind of aspect of doing it online because of the lockdown, because this and the format is just really allowing us to connect really deeply with the place that we live. And we don't need to go on these, well, I mean, sometimes we do, you know, we travel and we go off, but it's really available to us right on our front doorstep. And that's the beauty of it. It's like really bringing the magic to our door. So yeah, I think if you have Richmond's Park, I think that's great. Yes. Does that answer your question, Rachel? Okay. Liliana.
What caught my attention, and to be fully honest, I didn't read the whole description of anything. I was also following intuition and I don't know, tips or something. And what the word that caught my attention for some reason, not that I'm particularly attracted to it, but I know it was the one that hit me, was the word archetypes. So
yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that, please?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that question. So what we'll be doing is working with the 4 directions. We'll be journeying to the north, east, southwest, and we'll be working with the archetypal energies of those 4 directions that are rooted in our wholeness. So a large part of the snake skin shedding is that we are quite often rooted in a sense of self that is a sense of ourself that's too small for who the true essence of our soul is. Kind of we're rooted in stories and conditioning and beliefs and strategies that have us kind of acting in a way or being in a way or believing that we are a certain way that are just kind of too small. So what we do in Elemental Eros is we work with the 4 directions, the archetypal energies of the 4 directions, and we journey into them and we activate them and we open them, and then we come into embodied relationship with them, and then we come into relationship with those energies on the land so that we can expand our capacity, our sense of self, and our wholeness. So we do this through archetypal activations in the 4 directions. And this gives us access to an energy that allows us to expand our sense of being beyond the too small story of of ourselves. So it gives us access to energies that are part of the natural world, that because of our culture we're kind of disconnected from those energies, but they're innately part of who we are. So the archetypal activations is like a reconnection to our wholeness, to our internal wholeness, and also the wholeness that is available to us in the natural world innately, organically. So it's kind of just like, it's kind of like opening a portal to frequency and energy through image and through body that allows us to really expand our sense of who we are, really come into our wholeness as women, as beings. So does that answer your question? Does that feel clear?
Yeah. As far as I understand, the work would be with the archetypes of the 4 directions, and not I picture the archetypes of the wounded feminine or something like that. It's something it's right. More connected with nature and the directions.
Yes. And then from that place of wholeness, then we'll be working with the kind of the fragmented parts of our psyche that are kind of running on woundedness, that are running on stories that are too small. There's too small stories are the stories that are kind of our wounded stories. So once we've cultivated the wholeness, then we'll look at the fragmented stories, so that they can then have choice and agency about where we're engaging in the world from. Does that make sense? Yeah. So there will be, there's different different images and archetypes within the woundedness as well that we'll also be looking at, but it'll be very particular. It's like you'll discover your own, it's like creating a map of your own psyche, so that you can that will be very personal to you. Like even how each of the 4 directions are activated and alive and in you will be very personal to you, even though we're kind of giving I'll be giving an overarching image or archetype, that the emergence of that will be very personal for you. Make sense? Yeah. So I don't know if Sophie or Ruth, you want to say anything about that? Sophie, yeah, because Sophie's just been through it. So
yeah, oops, sorry. I have experienced it very much as an ignition of, like what Kate was saying, the activation. It's been an ignition of things that were there, but they were not as powerful. They were dormant. And I live near nature, and I've completely changed and enriched my relationship to the natural world thanks to this work, and the work with the archetypes and the work with the subsets within those archetypes. It's like as if I had dismantled and re-put together in a way that is so promoting my creativity, promoting the wealth, the abundance of ways we can connect and reconnect with nature and with our own kind of nature. It's like entering a cave of, like an Alibaba cave in a way. It's so abundant, so rich, and it keeps on giving. That's what I noticed as well. It's like it never stops. Once you're in, you're in. And yeah, you can deepen and deepen as you go.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you, Sophie. Because it's like, I love that once you're in, because it's like, it's like we open something. It's like opening a present, and then it's got lots of layers, and so you open the first layer, and then you walk into it, and then you keep deepening and deepening. So really it's a never-ending journey, but this is like the foundation that will allow you to orientate yourself to the world, to the eros of the world, and also the eros of your own feminine nature. And it's like a peeling of the onion. It's just like, it's a constant, the nature of the feminine is very spiral. So we'll spiral, and then there'll be another spiral, and then another spiral, and that's just continuously like bringing us into this deep connection with self, with other, with earth, with the great mystery of life. And then a whole kind of existence becomes this just magical love affair. It's like entering into the deepest love affair, because you're becoming more alive the more that you're shedding and descending and coming into relationship. It's like the aliveness is continuous. It's like a fountain. It's like, you're opening the portal to your own internal fountain. Or I call it the wellspring also. I love that image of the wellspring. So yeah, I don't know if Ruth, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I think the angle I would come at it from, where this work is really enriching and nourishing for me, and what I love about it is that it's so subversive in the world that we live in today, that we are daring to reach in and discover and touch that power that we are being told we are in so many conscious and unconscious ways that we are not supposed to have, that we're not supposed to know about, that we are definitely not supposed to channel into this world. And through this work, we find roots that kind of reveals that to us and allows us to dare to touch it and feel what it's like, and then to start to voice it and to live it. And I was saying to Kate earlier before coming on this call that I was bringing my raging feminine to it. And Debbie knows what this is about because I sent her, and Sophie, you might know as well. In Ireland today, or was it yesterday, we learned that our Advertising Standards Agency has banned an ad, a Tampax ad, about how to correctly insert a tampon. And I'll send it to you, Sophie. It is just a perpetuation of this culture of shame around women and women's bodies and our bodily processes that is just being perpetuated. And this is happening today in 2020 Ireland, that is supposed to be a progressive nation. So yeah, for me, it really kind of taps into kind of that subversive side of tapping into a power that the society we would live in would, a lot of people would really rather that we didn't find out about.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that, Ruth. Thank you so much, because it's like it's a personal journey, but it's also quite political, and it's personal, but it's also collective. And so it, you know, as you do this work with yourself, you're also doing it for the world, you're doing it for our culture, you're doing it for the generations that have gone, you're doing it for the generations that are coming. And there's a real sense of, you know, when we're doing our soul work, because this is, the feminine is of the soul world, the archetypes and the nature connection and the body connection. This is all this, the realm of the soul that our culture has just annihilated, devalued, dehumanized. And so the reclamation of this soul essence and soul embodiment, for me, it's really, I'm passionate about embodiment, it's a revolutionary act. It's political, it's daring, it's bold. It's like, this is how we're going to create the change. It's like that famous quote, the revolution will not be televised, because it's, you know, it's because it's happening here, it's happening on the inside, and then we get to step out and be the voice that has been marginalized, and be the voice that has been repressed, and speak out about things that are taboo or have been shut out. And so really Elemental Eros is like, it's like creating the foundation so that you have the inner resources to be able to really stand in your essence, stand in your power, stand in your beauty, stand in your truth, stand in your knowing as woman, and take these bold steps out into the world. Because without the resources of wholeness, if we're just in our kind of too small story, identified with the cultural narrative and ways of being in the world, then we are restricted by that. And so when we tap into the larger kind of aspects of plugging into the natural world, which hold our wholeness, which we can source and we can feed simultaneously, it's like the sense of ourself expands, and we can then take the risks to do the work and be the voice and be the expression. Like for me, it's also about, you know, as women, we hold so much and don't speak so much, and that expression is life force, and it's essential, and it's necessary, and it's medicine. So Elemental Eros really just gives you the foundation, the resources, so that you can become this fullness, the fullness of you, the aliveness of you, and take steps out into the world to be that. You know, I wouldn't be able to be here speaking about Eros and putting it out on social media and, you know, like guiding other women through the journey if I hadn't done essentially this journey of resourcing and shedding these skins, shedding these internal layers that don't serve me. I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be, you know, under the bed, terrified, like no, I can't do that. And you know, part of me is under the bed doing that, but it's not the wholeness of me. You know, the wholeness of me can stand out with passion and vitality and love and service and deep yearning, and bring this to the world. And so this is the kind of allowing of our creativity, the resources that allow us to really bring our deep creativity to the world.
If I can add just a little thing as well, it's that it really has helped me to come to terms with the beauty of the feminine power, because we're being told that the power of the feminine has to be, you know, buried and repressed, and you know, but this elemental eros is actually very feminine. I remember being on a call a year ago, which feels like ages ago, and asking Kate why is it eros rather than a feminine figure. But in fact, eros is feminine, it's profoundly feminine. And yeah, that's what I came to realize and to love about the work as well.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or anything that they'd like to ask? Yeah.
So I'm interested in knowing, like, do you have a curriculum that you follow, or maybe readings that we can, you know, just grow and understand language, concepts, whatever we have to embrace this journey? And I also would like to know more about the retreat as well.
Beautiful, yeah. There'll be readings, and I'll be kind of feeding into the group the resources, and so it's going to be live calls, and then they'll be recorded and you can listen to them. And then I'll be offering I can definitely give like additional reading material, and then there'll be the follow-up invitations, and I'll be kind of like dissecting each of the archetypes in written form, so you'll have that all down, and then you'll have the nature invitations and the temple practices kind of like all kind of laid out for you, so it's like there's a real structure. And because we're using the 4 directions, like that, really that's our curriculum, that's our path. And so we'll be, you know, all of the material around each of the directions and each of the archetypes will be part of the course. Does that answer your question on that one? Yeah. And then the retreat, yes. So because it's online, the retreat is an opportunity for us to come to the land and come into body, and really bring it into body in a deeper way. And obviously us all being there in circle, in body, on the land, just and fully immersed as well. Like Ruth has been on a couple of my retreats already, and so she knows the kind of the and maybe you could speak to this in a minute, but the intensity of immersing together and really just being for like 5 solid days in this conversation with no other distractions. Your food's all cooked for, and we just really get to enter into the field. And it's, you know, it's like I call it a retreat. It's not really a retreat, it's an immersion, because it's night and day. You know, even when you're sleeping, we're working because you're dreaming, and then we work with dreams. And so it's very a way of just kind of like bringing all of the work there to this place, and then just doubly like activating it. So it's very beautiful. I don't know if you want to say anything, Ruth, about the retreats. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. And I'm conscious Debbie has a question as well. So
yes.
The retreats, yes. As Kate, I've been on 2 of them. I'll go on another one in September, because they're fantastic. Yeah, there is something about that, just having everything taken care of, so you can just give yourself over fully to this exploration. To do this kind of work, to do this kind of retreat, which is really deep, you really need to, because I've done a lot of kind of different retreats with a lot of different facilitators, and you really need to have a very, very skilled facilitator with attention to detail. And that's why I keep going back and doing Kate's retreats, because she's extremely skilled as a facilitator. She holds the space really, really well. Her attention to detail is second to none. And as someone who has both facilitated and been on retreats that are facilitated with different facilitators, she's an amazing facilitator and space holder. So, and I don't say that lightly, because this work is so deep and important that that I wouldn't likely recommend people to do it unless I was recommending people to somebody that I trust, that is able to hold you through what is often quite challenging work.
Thank you, Ruth. That's very beautiful to receive, so thank you. Debs, do you have a question?
Yeah, I guess just one kind of comment and one little question. I think the first is a comment kind of reflecting off what Ruth was saying, because I think when I was younger, I would have been considered more of a, in some people's opinion, militant feminist or raging feminist, I think was the term that Ruth used. And as you get older, you start listening more and more to people telling you to shut up and quieten down. And it's been a conflict for me, particularly as I've kind of reached the age I am now, where I don't want to be quiet, but I also don't want to unnecessarily have fights or be contrary for the sake of it. And so I find this push and pull quite difficult. So yeah, I mean, from that side, I'm quite interested in what you guys have been talking about, because I'll be honest, Ruth told me about this like a couple of hours ago, and so I had no idea what I was coming on to a call about. So I had a very quick look. The other question or should I say the question that I had, is in relation to the work. You guys have referred to the work that you do, either going out or, you know, how the work is beneficial and so on. And I'm just, I know, I think as Doris mentioned, there was asking a similar question there, but I'm just wondering more about what's involved. Is it, you know, is it meditation and reflection largely, or what's the work?
Yes, beautiful. So we'll be engaging in nature practices outside of the sessions, so that it's very interesting to try and describe it in words, because, and Ruth's nodding, because it really comes alive when you're actually doing it. It's like I will set you up in a way that you'll go out into the wild and invite you to be in the wild in a certain way. So I'll invite you to do kind of almost like ceremonial enactments, but very kind of, it's not overt, it's very, like Ruth said, it's very, it's you and your journey. You know, if someone saw you, they're just going to think you're taking a walk in the park. But there'll be this way that I'll invite you to wander out into the wild and be in conversation with the land. And that might sound a bit abstract as I'm saying it, and it is quite abstract, but really when you do it, that's when it starts to, it's like you kind of open a doorway into the
I've done
life.
like walking meditation type of things before, so I guess it's probably something in the same kind of vein, or
kind
no?
of, yeah. Yeah, kind of. So you'll be, you know, what we'll be doing in the sessions is we'll be working with deep imagery and activating the energies of the archetypal of the 4 directions. And then you'll be invited to be in exploration with those archetypal energies on the land. So I'll set you up so that you can, give you like this is what you do, 1, 2, 3, 4. So in the beginning, you're very clear on how to go about entering into conversation and deepening into that conversation on the land. So I don't know if Sophie or Ruth, you can speak to that a little bit, or you want to, if anything's coming for you about that.
What I can say is that it's very deep kind of shamanic style kind of journeying with Kate, and Kate is a wonderful guide to bring you into these landscapes of the deep. You know, it's like a kind of a diving inwards and outwards as well, and then you can recreate that outside in the forest, for example, or by the sea, or wherever you go in nature, and you relate with nature through that ceremonial and that kind of it's a kind of a what it's a different way of relating than we used to, and it's profound. It's because we're creating relationships with nature through this portal, entering the portal, and it's to me it's creating enchantment, it's creating magic, it's tapping into something that we don't tap into normally, which is, it's a pity. And it's
yeah. Sorry. I love that, creating enchantment and creating magic, because that is just, yes, it's just like, that's what we're doing. We're like open, you know, because the natural world is magical and it's enchanting, and we on our soul essence are deeply magical and deeply enchanting. So it's like opening portal, and so it's like, it's even like hard to describe it, because it's not even a thing of words, it's a thing of the experience and a thing of the body. And I constantly have the task of having to translate it into words, which fails me all the time. But that's why I love speaking about it, because I think you can really get the transmission through listening to the stories of the women that have been through it, through my own transmission. That's why I love, you know, getting on these calls and just being live about it. But does that answer your question, Debs? Yeah. Ruth, did you want to say anything else?
Yeah, no, just agreeing with Sophie, and adding that it is so hard to put into words, I think, because it's something that really unfolds as you do it. And yeah, one of the really important things is kind of the preparation, and that's where Kate is really, really skilled. And it's almost like you're seeing as you would see kind of normally, but you're also seeing through a different lens. It's almost like you've got this parallel vision or experiential thing going on. It's like you're being shifted into a different register. And the beauty of it is that even if there are struggles, or you're thinking, oh, this isn't working, or what should I be doing, or what the hell am I here for, that's all part of it, and that's kind of grist for the mill that you actually work with. So you can't not get it right, you can't do it wrong. It's all part of the experience, which is fantastic for yeah, if you're someone who's kind of focused on goals and trying to achieve and tick boxes and stuff like that, like being an academic, Debbie. It's a relief.
Are you telling me I need to learn to let go?
Would I ever? Yeah, it's something that you have to do, and then you're like, okay. And it's different for everyone as well. It's uniquely crafted by you to be your experience. And that's what's beautiful as well, the sharing of that afterwards with the people who are on it, to kind of listen to all the different kind of stories and experiences.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Ruth. So yeah, it's really just like opening our consciousness to something that we might not even be aware of or be in touch with. So it's and you said something about, I talk about frequency, the frequency of earth, which I have come to know, has been revealed to me, is Eros, is this deep relational, deep loving deep connecting like frequency that is so deeply of our soul. Like our soul knows how to be in this relational way with the natural world, and so it's just really kind of creating the opportunity to for that to deepen and for that to open and for us to relearn. It's a relearning. And then another part of Elemental Eros is we dance every week. So there's a movement meditation, a deep feminine movement meditation. So every week we come to the temple space with all of the women, and there'll be women who are in Elemental Eros and who have been through Elemental Eros and who are now in the second year of Elemental Eros, who have been dancing for a long time. So we all come into the same parts on a Tuesday evening, I think. Well, to be determined. And we dance this deep feminine dance. And that's also really supportive of allowing us to come into body and allow the flowering of our feminine eros to emerge. And it's a very beautiful practice that I've been dancing now for 8 years. And it's like every time I dance, it drops me down into my feminine, the feminine wellspring that I call it, and it connects me to this enchantment and this magic that is available to us. So Sophie and Ruth have also been dancing for a while now, so I don't know if you want to say anything about the dance. Also, it's good to hear your voice.
Yes. Well, I love my weekly meetings with it's lovely to have a group of women, different women from all over the world connect and do this deep work together. And it's very, it's like an exploration of the sacred within. For me, it's like I really anchor, and I really go in really deeply, and it's such a deep meditation, but very anchored in the body, very embodied, and very challenging at times and delicious at the same time. It's like it's really really rich landscape, and it's very poetic, and Kate encourages that to speak at the end through poetry. So it's really, again, it's like a kind of a coming to terms and eliciting that the beauty and the erotic and the sensual and the connection with earth as well, deep connection with earth. It's a beautiful practice, very spiritual as well.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sophie. That's beautiful. Do you have a question?
Oh.
Did you have a question, Debbie? No. No. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to add. Yeah, I find it's a practice that is, for me, is really, really grounding, which is very helpful for me. And it's also, yeah, I know when things are really, really important and necessary for me, when there's no question when it comes to every Tuesday, but that like at 7:30, I know where I'm going to be. I mean, it's not like, say, another class which I'd say, oh, I'll miss it for this week because I want to do this instead. I mean, it's in my week, and that is set in stone, and it's a really, really important hour and a half that I have carved out just to give to myself for that space. So it serves that purpose. But on top of that, if you're doing kind of any of the other work like Elemental Eros or that kind of thing, it serves as a really helpful touchstone to kind of drop in an experiential way, both with Kate and other women, even though you're not necessarily kind of discussing the journey that you're on, but it is supporting that journey that you're on and the other work that you're doing as well.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. It's so beautiful to have you both here to share your experiences, because it just really brings it alive a lot more. So yeah, I don't want to keep us that long on the computer. Hopefully you've all got a sense. If you have any questions, say now. I'm still happy to be here and answer any more questions. And if not, then we can jump off, and you can always just email me or be in touch at any point. And yeah, just send your questions to me, basically. So yeah, early bird is until the 13th of August. That's all I'll say. And then we begin in October. And you're very welcome to schedule a free call with me, and we can talk more like one-on-one and see if it's really calling you and if it's the right thing for you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. It's really beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Paul, for being here. It's really beautiful to have you, and yeah, really supportive.
Yes, it's always lovely to see you and you talk about your work.
Yes, thank you. You're always such a support for my work. Thank you, Paul. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, my love, so great. Thank you. Thank you.
That's the love.
Thank you so much. Bye bye all.
Bye bye.
Bye.